Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. This is entry 83. I just did a video about Jessie Lee Peterson, and I just thought me saying it is simply not enough. You have to hear this stuff. It is beyond amazing, and I think him saying it would carry more weight in my belief because it's so ridiculous. Fair use, fair use. Alright, before we get into the video, here I am. I'm not a part of the panel. However, here you have Jessie Lee Peterson, and here you have Dave Ferina, and they're going to have this conversation right off the bat. He just jumps right Jesse just jumps right into the cooning. Okay.
Problem in our country today. In particular, I'll just ask. We can go first, we'll just go left to right with Jesse, and then to Dave. Jesse, do you think that racism is a significant problem in our country today?
Not at all. Racism has never been a problem in this country at all. And you're hearing this from someone who grew up in Alabama. I was born and raised in Alabama. I was raised on a plantation there under the Jim Crow laws. And we didn't have this so-called racial problem at that time. And it's a made-up word by the so-called black civil rights leaders. The white.
Okay. Oh my goodness. You can't make this stuff up. If you thought I was making this up in the first video, here, you got it. There's more.
Liberals who have no values, they love what's evil and hate what's good. And so this word racism is just made up to divide and conquer, to control the blacks by causing them to vote for whomever they want to vote for, and most of the time it's for Democrat. And also it's to put fear in white people in order to make them feel guilty about nothing and use them for personal gain. There's no such thing as racism at all. It has always been a lie, and it's a lie today.
All right, we'll kick it over to Dave.
Okay, I mean, that's a, wow. You just said that you grew up on a plantation and racism doesn't exist, so you grew up where slavery happened, where black people were enslaved by white people, and you're a black person, and you grew up in the Jim Crow laws, and you're saying...
Just the fact that Dave is pointing this out to him, but like I said, he is the king in the coondom. It gets worse.
Racism doesn't exist. I mean, that's just like, it's hard for me to compute the cognitive dissonance that's overflowing in that statement. I don't know if you can clarify
what
you mean by that.
When slavery happened 150 years ago, it was about slavery.
Yeah.
It wasn't about racism. The air.
You don't think it's racist? You don't think it's racist for one race to enslave another race? How is that not racism?
So, are you saying that when the blacks were in Africa and they were enslaved by other blacks, was that racism?
It's a real place.
Was that racism?
Sure, yeah.
No, it wasn't. In Africa, mommy Africa, blacks were being used by the so-called rich blacks, the ones that were leading, and they were using blacks as money when they made deals. And at some point, the Arabs went to Africa. The Arabs went to Africa and captured, and in many cases, bought the blacks from the blacks in Africa.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh. Whoa, this is hard. Okay, number one, the Arabs were already in Africa, and the Arabs were the ones who first started the slavery. It gets worse. Hold on to your pantyhose.
Africa, and they sold them around the country. And even in this country,
right.
there were black people who owned slaves. So it was the...
I don't know much about the history of Africa, but you can't say that white people owning black people is not racism. How is that not racism? It's a race of people that says another race is inferior to my race.
So
how is that not racism?
Because there were blacks in this country who owned other blacks as well as slaves. Are you saying they were racist too?
I mean, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I can't imagine that that's true.
It is true.
But if it is, then
racism.
Well, look, I mean, then fine. Then it's a different kind of racism. But slavery is based on white people, of black people being inferior to white people. That's the basis for slavery.
I just want to move forward with this. Are you saying that the blacks who own other blacks in this country during that time, were they racist as well?
I don't really know. That doesn't really reflect on the institution of slavery.
How do you know if white people were racist, but you don't know if black people were racist who were doing the same thing?
Yeah, maybe there were white people who owned slaves that weren't racist, and that was the way it was done at the time. But slavery, the institution of slavery, which was endorsed by the United States of America, was a racist institution. There were people maybe that didn't agree with it, and maybe even still owned slaves, and maybe they weren't racist, and there were politicians that owned slaves that fought to overturn slavery. So I mean, I'm not talking about every single individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery. What could be more racist than slavery? The subjugation of a race of people.
So Dave, are you saying that the blacks who owned black slaves in this country, were they racist?
Did you not hear what I just said for the past minute?
You didn't answer my question.
I just answered your question. I didn't specifically just answer your question.
Dave.
I said that I'm not talking about an individual. I'm talking about the institution of slavery, which is endorsed by the American government in that.
Okay. Ooh. Just the. I have no words for Jessie Lee Peterson because he is trying to take it to the individual level, trying to turn black people as a group into horrible, evil people. I'm not saying that white people are horrible, evil people. No. The institution of slavery, the institution was horrible. This is so hard for me to listen to. I'm going to go for a little bit longer, then I got to cut it out because my blood is boiling.
At that time, is a racist institution. I don't need to defend like a singular person. Like what a single person believed or did has nothing to do with the institution of slavery and the laws of a nation.
So are you saying, Dave, that the institution of black people who own other black people in America during that time was that racist?
But yeah, the owning of black people, turning black people into property is racism.
So were those black people racist who owned other black people? Were those blacks racist as well?
I don't know, sure.
What do you mean, I don't know, sure? You seem mighty sure when you accuse the white.
Look, there were millions of people in America at that time, and you can go through every single person and say, what did this person think? What did this person think? What did this person? I'm talking in a broader sense.
I am
There's
too.
no defense.
There's no defense of black people who own other black people. Are you saying?
No, you're trying to use a very tiny subset. This is not the norm.
No, I'm not.
Right? White people enslaved black people.
Dave,
so trying to take like the one or two people.
Dave, are you saying those black people, more than one or two that own black people, were they racist? That's all I want to know from you.
How is turning a race of people into property not racism? I think that's.
You realize you're not answering my question, right, Dave?
No, I did though. When I said that I'm talking about slavery as an institution, so you want to fixate.
Why is it so easy
this is very obvious apologetics. I mean,
why is it so easy for you to accuse white people who own slaves as racist, but not the blacks who own blacks as slaves?
Well, I mean, it's fine. Okay, then they're racist if that's what you want to hear. Sure.
That's what I want to hear that from you, Dave.
Okay, well, you said fine. Let's go.
Why is it so hard to accuse the whites but not the blacks?
he is so trying so hard to get his disdain for black people is so deep, is so deeply ingrained in him. And you see how Jessie is grilling Dave, just grilling and grilling and grilling and grilling.
Why is it so hard to accuse it? Because it's not the norm. If you want to talk about the majority, don't you think the majority of slave owners were white by an incredible margin?
I don't know
how many slave owners were black?
About incredible margin, but I
Jesse, look,
there were more.
you're really obsessed about these black slave owners. So how many were there? Tell me. You seem to have some data that you're looking at there. How many slave owners were black?
Dave, I'm not looking at data.
You don't have a number? You don't have a number
But
for
I'm
that?
telling you that it was more white people because this is a white man's country. He founded and he built the country.
Yeah.
There was more white people here than there were blacks. And so
And then they went and stole black people and enslaved them. How is that not slavery?
You're going to have more black people, white people own the slave. But you people who want to accuse white people of being slavery tend to love accusing the whites, but you don't want to accuse anyone else.
I don't love accusing anybody of anything. Just white people owned black slaves. That's just a historical fact. And it's a racist thing.
That's a historical fact.
How many were there, Jesse? How many?
Okay, this is too much for me. This is too much for me. I hope Clarence Thomas and Herman Cain have nothing on Jessie Lee Peterson. Uncle Ruckus from the Boondocks has nothing on him. Matter of fact, Stephen on Django has nothing on well, wait a minute, let me take that back, because he was over there collaborating with him. So Jessie Lee and Stephen on Django sort of like run neck and neck. But the fact that Dave Ferina was, to me, he looked baffled that he had to listen to this guy. And you know, he got to the point where he's like, okay, then the number of blacks enslaving blacks, what is a number? Apparently you have a number. You're looking at some statistics. No. Man, you can't make this stuff. You can't make this stuff up. Like I said, the KKK, the neo-Nazis, Azov, some other hate groups can learn a lot from Jessie Lee Peterson, because the level of dissonance that he has is just beyond belief. Outside of that, outside of this parallel universe, please like, subscribe. I'm not even going to do a conclusion because I don't need to. Most of all, thank you for stopping by.